Charizard, one of the most popular Pokemon of all time. Due to its ever-growing popularity, we continue to see different cards of it printed in the Pokemon TCG. Although, are there too many Charizard cards and products being released? Is this a problem for the Pokemon TCG, or is it just simply people overreacting? These questions are what we will be discussing in today's video. Before we get into today's video, leave a comment down below what your favorite Charizard card of all time is. Mine is that Mega Charizard X EX from Flashfire. And also, be sure to like and subscribe. 99% of my viewers are not subscribed, so I would greatly appreciate it if you all took the time to subscribe to my channel for more awesome Pokemon content. In front of us here today, I have some of my favorite Charizard cards and products in my collection. My reason for having all these cards here today is to show that I love Charizard and I may have a slight bias towards it. Despite this, I wholeheartedly believe that those complaining that there is too much Charizard in the Pokemon TCG and that it is ruining it entirely are completely overreacting. My main argument for saying this is because of what Charizard means to Pokemon. It is one of the cornerstones of the franchise and is the main factor that has kept a lot of people, specifically casual fans, interested in the franchise over the years. Many people complain that Pokemon act as if there are only a handful of Pokemon such as Charizard, Pikachu, Rayquaza, etc., and ignore a lot of the cooler new Pokemon such as Dragapult when it comes to big releases in the TCG or big events in the games. Although most casual fans do not even know what a Dragapult is, or any of the cool new Pokemon for that matter. But you know what Pokemon they do not only know, but also love? Charizard. As a result of this, Pokemon has continued to implement Charizard into the Pokemon TCG when necessary in order to keep those casual fans interested. Many people believe by doing this, Pokemon are shoving Charizard down our throats, but if you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, they really aren't. For today's video, I will be focusing on the Sword and Shield era of the Pokemon TCG because it is the most recent completed generation of Pokemon, and also during this era is when people began to complain the most about there being too much Charizard. The first two sets of the Sword and Shield era of the Pokemon TCG did not contain a single Charizard card, although the third set, Darkness Ablaze, not only contained multiple Charizard cards, but was a set completely based on Gigantamax Charizard. Now this is not something Pokemon just did out of the blue. It is the same thing they did during X and Y and are now doing in Scarlet and Violet. XY Flashfire was another Charizard-themed set that was the second set of the X and Y era. It was the first set to contain a Mega Charizard card and is what the fans all wanted after XY base set has Mega Venusaur and Blastoise, but not Charizard. Pokemon recognized the hype and popularity around Mega Charizard and decided to give it its own set as a result. This is the exact same thing they did in Sword and Shield with Darkness Ablaze. Leon, the undefeated champion of the world, had a Gigantamax Charizard as his strongest Pokemon. It was super cool and popular in the anime and main series games, so of course Pokemon were going to go all out with it in the TCG, and that is exactly what they did with Darkness Ablaze. Although here is where I can start to understand the argument that Charizard is overused in the Pokemon TCG. Champion's Path would be the next set released after Darkness Ablaze, and guess what the big bad chase card and mascot of this set was? Charizard. Now, I do not like Champion's Path. It is the Burning Shadows of Sword and Shield. It has a crazy Charizard chase card, and that is it. Although tying back to an earlier point I made about casual fans, Pokemon may have done this on purpose. Darkness Ablaze was released on August 14th, 2020, and Champion's Path was released on September 25th, 2020. For those that may not remember, this was during the prime of the Pokemon hype during the pandemic. So what Pokemon most likely did was recognize the hype around Pokemon at the time and drop two Charizard sets back to back to captivate all those casual fans once again, and as a result, the franchise grew even more. This is just a theory though. I have to admit that I agree that Champion's Path was a bit unnecessary. The shiny Charizard in that set was in Shiny Star V in Japanese, which is Shining Fates in English. I will speak on that set momentarily, but I believe the Charizard cards from Champion's Path should have just been put in Shining Fates. After Champion's Path, the next set to be released was Vivid Voltage. This set contained only one Charizard card, Leon's Charizard, as I like to call it. It came in a reverse holo and a non-holo and was just simply another card in the set. It was not promoted or advertised by the Pokemon Company at all. People that complain about Charizard being overused target examples such as this, but I personally see absolutely nothing wrong with this card at all. It is a cool card that is a throwback to the other champion artwork cards we got during the Sun and Moon era, and once again, it was just simply another card in the set. Since it is not on the pack arts or promoted by Pokemon, this card being in the this set is no different than there being another Bidoof non-holo and reverse holo, but we don't hear people complaining about there being too many Bidoof cards, do we? No, we only hear people complain about Charizard cards because it's Charizard. The next set after Vivid Voltage was Shining Fates, which I personally did not like that much, but Pokemon made it essentially as a second edition of Hidden Fates, which is one of the most popular Pokemon sets of all time. And in Hidden Fates, the most popular card was the Shiny Charizard, so of course they're going to have another Shiny Charizard in Shining Fates. Then in Celebrations, the 25th anniversary set, we got another reprint of base set Charizard, which makes sense for Pokemon to do based on not only the popularity of that card, but also that Celebrations was a celebration of some of the coolest Pokemon cards from the past 25 years, and how could you not include a Charizard in that set? The next Charizard card would come in Brilliant Stars, which I agree was a little much. It was cool that we got a new special card with the V-Star cards, but I will admit that we did not see them introduced with another Charizard. Then we have the Pokemon Go set, which obviously was going to have a Charizard in it. When Pokemon Go first came out, Charizard was one of the most desired and popular Pokemon in the entire game. And also, this set was the first set to contain a shiny Venusaur with Radiant Venusaur, and the second ever set to contain a shiny Blastoise with Radiant Blastoise. So what are they supposed to do? Just not make a Radiant Charizard? Of course not. During the final chapter of the Sword and Shield era, we got the introduction of the Trainer Galleries, which were Pokemon cards that featured different trainers in the artwork. In the Lost Origin Trainer Gallery, we would see a Charizard with Leon, which just makes sense, seeing that Leon is the champion of this generation. Then finally, we have the final Charizard of the Sword and Shield era, which is Radiant Charizard from Crown Zenith, which was the final set of the Sword and Shield era. This card, once again, just makes sense. Crown Zenith was not a set that promoted this Radiant Charizard at all, making it just simply another card in the set. And with this being the final hurrah of Sword and Shield, of course they're going to include a Charizard card after how popular Charizard was during this generation. One last part of the Sword and Shield era that I will admit was too much was this Charizard Ultra Premium Collection box, the Charizard UPC box that is sitting on shelves in stores across America. This thing was so expensive, had such bad pulls, and I felt it was completely unnecessary. But now we have the start of a new generation and a new era of the Pokemon TCG, Scarlet and Violet. And for the third set of this era, we are getting Obsidian Flames, which is a set based around Dark Charizard. To some, this may seem unnecessary at first glance, and this set in particular has caused a lot of people to say that Charizard is overused and is ruining the TCG. Although those of you watching this video know that this is not the first time Pokemon have done this. This set is no different than Flash Fire and Darkness Ablaze, two sets which will go down in history. I think Obsidian Flames is awesome and that it will be one of my favorite sets of all time because they're basing this set off one of the most iconic, popular, and expensive sets of all time, EX Dragon Frontiers, which is my #1 favorite set of all time. Trust me everyone, Obsidian Flames is going to be insane, and it is fully justified and worth it. After Obsidian Flames, the next set will be Pokemon 151, a set based on the original 151 Pokemon from Kanto, and obviously, this set will contain a Charizard card, which people are getting upset about. What do you want them to do? Change the name of the set to Pokemon 150 and just not include Charizard? After seeing people complain about that, it made me realize that no matter what happens, there will always be people upset about something. It is impossible to make everyone happy, but I do know one way to make a lot of people very happy. And it is by giving them a Charizard. And that is all for today. Let me know in the comment section down below whether or not you believe Charizard is overused in the Pokemon TCG. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and this is the Pokeplaya signing out.